Thank God for Indycar, because if you haven't seen yet, the numbers for the Nashville race this weekend have come out, and it is one of their highest rated and viewed races of the entire season. And what's significant about that is the fact that we've heard nonstop for years now, across the motorsport spectrum, across the entire industry, that we have to have playoffs in order to get, and this from people inside the industry, because most of the fans don't feel this way. But most of the professionals in the industry think that we need playoffs, because otherwise people aren't going to watch these races if the championship's wrapped up 2 to 3 weeks before the end of the season. Obviously, that's not true. And, I talked about this at, when they had the Milwaukee race a couple weeks ago in IndyCar. Those guys were racing their butts off for that trophy, which is interesting because if you listen to the experts, evidently, if we don't have playoffs, people aren't going to be doing that. But that's not true, obviously. And it's the same thing as far as the fans are concerned. We don't care. The championship is a byproduct of the races. Most people just want to see a good race. Most people just want to see racing. That's it. And this is just further evidence of that. Just further evidence. Okay? Welcome back to the Robinson's. If you find my rambling interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications. The works. If you're interested in diecast cars, t-shirts, hats, auto parts, anything like that, check out our eBay. Link is in the description. And also follow me on Facebook and X, because I post a whole bunch of motorsports content daily. Those links are also in the description. Without further ado, let's get into the rest of the video. So apparently, I guess I'm like the only person on the planet that's never heard of Druski. I'm not entirely. I still don't really know who he is, other than the fact that he's big on X. He's got I think he's got like over 1 million followers or something like that. So, but I'd never heard of him up until a day or two, or yesterday. People started posting this video. Apparently, he painted himself up to look like a white person. And he went to the racetrack, I'm assuming this past weekend, and had a pair of overalls on, had, fake tattoos. I mean, he was mimicking the stereotypical Southern white man. He had a fake mullet. It was obviously fake. And I just want someone to explain to me, how in the world is that any different than blackface? Okay, how is that? That is equally as racist. It just is, And one of the little clips that he did was he was sitting on the bed of a truck, and a black guy walked by and he spit at his feet, insulting the black guys. And what he's doing is he's making fun of white people. He's saying this is what Hicks do in the South. They spit at the feet of black people. That's racist. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't care who you are, which side of the political divide you fall on. This isn't politics. This is just common sense. That is absolutely racist. And what drives me nuts is you have people like Jeff Gluck, big-time reporter for NASCAR, who's sharing this garbage on social media like he's proud of it. Dude, how can you... I don't care. If it was the other way around, I would have a problem with it. Making fun of a race is not funny in the slightest, okay? And if it's wrong for one crowd to do it towards the other, then it's that way across the board. No one should be doing it, period. It's not funny. It's insulting. And that's just the way I feel about it. It's like I said, I've never heard of this dude. He's a clown, obviously. Sorry if you like him, but that's just uncalled for, and it's just blatantly racist. And that kind of nonsense for sure shouldn't be accepted at the racetrack. I mean, let's be honest about this. It's nonsense. So we don't even have to get far into the off season. Apparently, with IndyCar, shoes are already starting to drop. So Colton Herta is Cadillac's official reserve driver, I guess. I don't know if these have been officially confirmed, these stories, but this is just what I was reading earlier and what I heard earlier, is that Colton is going to be Cadillac's reserve driver in Formula One, and he's likely heading to Formula Two Formula Two, because he needs to get more points on a super license in order to be eligible to run in Formula One, and I think he's a few shy of where he needs to be. And so what that did, though, is it opened up the 26th seat in Indycar. And they announced almost immediately after the race this weekend that Will's going to be gone, Will Power from Penske. So Will is heading over to Andretti, and he's going to be in that 26 car. Don't know what the sponsor is going to be. If it's still going to be Gamebridge, maybe, who knows. But that's pretty cool. But then also David Malukas is in all likelihood going to take Will's place at Penske. Rinus VeeKay announced that he's leaving Dale Coyne Racing. He's likely heading to David's position in AJ Foyt Racing. And so, I mean, just a lot of musical chairs. And there's more to come. I would imagine that Nolan Siegel's probably not going to be back with McLaren next year. I know that his father has a lot of pull within the team, but still, I'd be shocked if he's back. It would just be interesting to see what happens. I'm just glad that we haven't gotten that far into the offseason yet. We're already talking about it, Boom, let's just get it all knocked out of the way up front. You don't have to worry about it. And you could tell, I was on X yesterday, there's a lot of drama going on, and as far as IndyCar stuff goes, different, I'm not going to say any names, but different people saying things that they shouldn't be saying on X about other people. I guess trying to drum up excitement, thinking that the offseason is going to be kind of slow. Because IndyCar offseason is typically, there's not a lot going on. Whereas NASCAR, you have a bunch of stuff that gets announced during the offseason and what have you. And that does happen with IndyCar, but it's just not near as consistent as what NASCAR's is. Speaking of NASCAR, I made a comment, or I made a post the other day on X, and I shared it on YouTube. You can see it in my comment, or my post section, whatever you want to call it, community section, where I was talking about the Gen 4 car. Someone had posted that the Gen 4 was an asymmetrical disaster, but it was gorgeous, and it was just a great race car. And that is true. It was a great race car. And I made the post that it was the last proper stock car that NASCAR has used in the series, and that the next gen is a sports car masquerading as a stock car, which it is. These people started pointing out to me, well, you're forgetting about the COT and the Gen 6. I'm not forgetting about them, okay? But they're not the point of the conversation. The point of the conversation is this garbage that we have now. But I'll say this, the COT, I hated that car from day one, okay? It was absolutely hideous. And yes, they made tweaks to it later on in its lifespan that made it look better, getting rid of the wing and putting a spoiler on it. Kind of putting the splitter back up underneath the front valence so it wasn't just protruding out and looking, and it had the splitter was sticking out from underneath the front of the car, and it had the support bars out in the open, visible. I mean, it just looked awful. Just absolutely, it looked like a snowplow. It's the best way I can describe it. It was not good, but it raced okay. It had its moments where it raced pretty good. I could never get over how ugly the car was. And I didn't like the fact that the early generations of it kind of had a lip, like right below where the headlights technically would be, or are, but they're stickers. But below that, there's kind of like a lip on the front fascia, and up underneath that is kind of like your entry points for air to go into the radiator. I thought that was dumb, wasn't crazy about that. They fixed that later on, and it kind of made it normal. And I know that for a fact because in 2011, AJ had the car to beat at Watkins Glen, and he got run off the track by Kurt Busch towards the end of the race. Kurt was lapped down. AJ was leading. AJ went off in the grass, and then that front grill area got clogged up with grass, and he ended up having to pit and lost the race because of it. Which, by the way, that still sucks, because I wanted to see AJ put that 43 in victory lane. He came close several times. But no, my thing is COT was not great. Okay? The Gen 6, here's what I hated about the Gen 6. The Gen 6 was too easy to drive. And by that, I mean the side panels were basically like parasails. They were massive. Yeah, I talked about this a little bit the other day, but they were massive. And, you know, so if you get sideways, then the air would hit the side of the car and straighten you back out, and you'd be good to go. So I wasn't crazy about that car. The Gen 4 had issues as well, okay? There were aero issues, but there's been aero issues in every form of stock car. Like every generation of car that they've used, aero has been an issue. The aero will always be an issue. The problem that we have now is that the cars are too aero dependent. Okay, the cars currently use aero to make grip. And aside from mechanical grip, okay, they should use mechanical grips. What I'm trying to say. But they don't. They use aero to manufacture grip. And that's an issue. That's why you run into the aero wake nonsense or aero wash, whatever you want to call it. And it's just not good. But also you look at the next generation car, it is a sports car. Okay? You look at the way that it's built with the diffuser, the suspension, the gearbox. It's an IMSA car. I mean, that's just what it is. You want to know why it's not working on ovals, which it really don't work anywhere, but the reason it don't work on ovals is because it's an IMSA car. But that's just what it is, man. It's an IMSA car, and it needs a lot of work. And they're probably not going to fix it. We're probably just saddled with this nonsense. I can't tell you how cool it is, by the way, seeing CJ Greaves go out there in a Pro 4 truck. You know, if you don't know who CJ Greaves is, he's the son of legend Johnny Greaves. Johnny, I grew up watching Johnny when I was a kid. Obviously, grew up watching him, and the dude was unbelievable. I was a huge Evan Evans fan. I talked about that the other day, but Johnny was the guy that was winning. He and Carl Renazenter. And so, anyways, CJ. I think he finished. I think he won Pro 4 category at Crandon this past weekend, and I think RJ Anderson finished second, or it may have been flipped. Anyways, they finished first and second. But man, it's so cool seeing second generation drivers come up in all forms of motorsport. John Hunter Nemechek, I think, had his best finish this past weekend at Darlington. I think he finished fourth. In the 42 Cup car, Joe Nemechek's son, and it's just across, Max Verstappen. It kind of makes me feel old, though, to be completely honest with you. I mean, I'm 36. I'm not super old in my mind, but and a lot of these guys are not that. I'm not that much older than them. But I remember like John Hunter, seeing his daddy carry him on his shoulders or take him into victory lane, or he'd be sitting on the pit box wearing a fire suit that matched his daddy's back in the day. And now he's grown and running in the Cup Series. It's wild. CJ's another one. His dad would have him at the racetrack all the time back in the day, and now CJ's out there doing his own thing and whipping everybody's tail. It's insane. And like I said, it makes me feel like an old timer. Anyways, if you enjoy listening to me ramble about motorsports, cars, anything else I feel like talking about, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications, the works. If you're interested in diecast cars, t-shirts, hats, auto parts, anything like that, make sure to check out our eBay. The link is in the description. Follow me on Facebook and X for more motorsports content. We post on there daily. So, I appreciate you guys watching. Till next time, we'll see you. God bless. Peace.